let's move on to Mapbox. So, all right. So when I'm going to go back to the scene, sample scene. Okay. I'll just leave it like this, like before. And what we are going to do is we are going to import the final package of today, which is the one that I just shared with you, the Mapbox. Where is it? Yeah, so this one, Mapbox Unity 2.1.1. And this one you can actually download from their website. So in the Mapbox install and Unity, Mapbox is not only for Unity. So you can also download it from here as well. And you can follow this instruction, but don't follow this instruction, please. And here, please don't import everything because they have their own AR thing, which is not working for us. So what we need is we need to untick everything and tick only the first Mapbox and this third-party assets. So we need only these two folders. Okay, and then import. So Mapbox is something, it's not it's not it's not only about AR. It's more about map and geolocation and metadata. Like you see a lot of things from Google, which I will show you from the examples first. That it's going to be much more straightforward to know from there. Okay, once it's imported, also you will know you registered for Mapbox, then you will have a token. So please don't use mine. You should have your own login and a default token, and you can copy this. And you will need it later in a bit. If you're interested in, you can also have a look at a lot of different references, examples from the Mapbox website. And they have much more sophisticated tutorials and different examples by a lot of other people. And what we are going to do today is something similar to this, kind of overlaying some city information in our real scene. Yeah, and we are just going to go through different parameters. Okay, so that's where you need to paste your paste your token. So I'm going to copy my token and submit. It should say verified. If you have done that, you are ready to use Mapbox. Before we insert anything here, I'm going to check one of the example file from the Mapbox provided. So go to Mapbox, examples. Have a look at Mapbox prefab scene, city simulator. Yeah. So go to the first one and the first one, city simulator. And you won't see anything unless you see this kind of object here. And if you play it, you can kind of see how this is actually creating a city. And this information is provided by Mapbox in real time. And there are all these kind of parameters where you can change the location and scale, and also like different locations and stuff. Yeah, and we are going to go through some of these features today. And how do you integrate this with our AR system with MRTK? Okay, so normally, if I were you, I will just try to deploy this one to your mobile phone, just to check if the Mapbox is actually working for you. So I suggest you to do that when you have time. Today we are going to just go through, skip that process and go to next step. Okay, so this one, once you deploy this example file, you will see the city, but the city is not going to be VR mode or AR mode. It's just going to be snapped to your screen as if like a PC game or something. But if you want this to be positioned in an AR scene, yeah, we need to integrate this with AR Foundation or into a MRTK example scene. So in order to do that, you make sure that you have this, but only thing we will need is this item, city simulator map. So what we are going to do is we are going to Control C here, Control C from here. And then we are going back to our original sample scene where we already built our AR environment. If you remember, we already created our AR environment with our camera in. And we are going to position this here, Control V. Yeah. So this simulator will be created. Let's have a look. Where is this going to be created? At the position of 0, 0, 0, like this. Yeah. So what this is actually doing is it's snapping the ground to a terrain. That this terrain is actually provided by the geo data. So it's actually a global data that like every it includes every part of the globe. And this is actually kind of snapped to that position, so it's kind of difficult to change change the position. So for now, we can kind of turn it off. If you turn it off, the ground is actually positioned on minus 1.8.6, which is where about on my foot when you consider the 0, 0 is your eye level. So by default, it's kind of positioned your world on that level. So you see this like grid, that's actually 0, 0, 0, where you consider this person is going to look at this. So this is where what I will see. Okay, so I was changing things when I was playing, so I will just turn this off for now, and then play it. Okay, and actually you are actually ready to deploy this to your phone. So in build settings, add your scene, add open scene. Oh, don't do this while you are playing your game. Build setting, add open scene. Oh, it's already here. It was a sample scene. Okay, and then you can just build it normally to your Android phone. All right. So that's how you export a simple MRTK, simple AR foundation and Mapbox map. So what is interesting about the Mapbox is that there are all this shop information, all this map information is accessible for us, and we can kind of do something like that. So we have this interesting video as a reference where you can actually let me show you the city scene. This is a movie. It's not necessarily done with Mapbox, so, but you see that there are lots of different interesting hologram overlaid on a geolocation with the city information, and we don't really have to necessarily build the entire city again, isn't it? We can actually access, if there is a Starbucks, we don't have to position the Starbucks again. We can just put the logos of Starbucks wherever Starbucks is and DHL is and everything. So that's kind of, it opens up a lot of possibilities for us to kind of develop further things in outer spaces. So basically, the strategy for us is to just use this item in anywhere, in any AR environment that we set up, and just copy paste that thing into our desired AR scene. So this one, for example, is a simple AR scene, but we can also copy this one to our hand interaction AR scene, this environment. So I just copy pasted it. One downside is that it doesn't show it if you don't play it. So just for display purpose, preview purpose, you can actually see the relationship with your geometries and the city map, generated city map. And you can see that these are pretty much in scale, but this is not a precise scale. Normally, what we do is, if we know where is our site, we will draw something in Rhino very precisely. For example, we know that this building will be this size, and this building is with, maybe we draw that square of these buildings quite accurately, and then match your Mapbox, because Mapbox can zoom like very freely. So don't trust this scale. You should at least make a very precise base guide drawing and match the size accordingly. And then the world will be more or less kind of there. Yeah, so one point is that don't trust the scale of the city. Yeah, you should trust more of your own drawing for that. Okay. All right. And okay, I'm going to go through a few features. Let me just get my note on. Okay, one more thing you can do. So this was about the location. So in order to change and find your location, you can kind of first approximately find where you want. Maybe in my case, maybe I want downtown, and then I can start play a little bit. Also, don't trust this latitude longitude. It doesn't correspond to the global latitude longitude. Just find the position and just move it. Or if they're moving too much, you can also make things smaller. So basically find the position, find this number by trying it, and manually kind of position yourself in a correct location. And similarly, you see this Z direction, that's where your app is going to point to. So make sure when you are actually launching your app, you know where your app is going to be positioned in order to calibrate the map quite more accurately. So the location and the direction of where you are launching the app is quite key to the calibration. Okay, that was about the first step. The second, so that was about, so don't worry about these others. And in terms of image, so if we are still using the terrain, we can also kind of show why. Oh, the location got refreshed. Okay. Okay. So you see the image below these items are actually image map. And you can actually stylize this. For now, let me just, yeah, there are lots of things that you can change here, but let me talk about the terrain first. No, the image first. So you can actually customize. You can see that there are different setups, base templates like these, satellites. Yeah, but you can also customize it. Of course, you can say none, but you can customize it by customizing it in the Mapbox Studio. So if you go to your Mapbox account, there is something called Mapbox Studio, where you can actually create a new style. I'm sure you don't have these. And there are also different templates you can start with. There are lots of different things. And then you can come in. Because I'm in downtown, I can just go to downtown LA to see what kind of things I can customize. So for example, I can change the color of the green space. For example, there are not much hospitals. You can also change the color of the base. For example, you can do a lot of different things according to your preference. Okay, and then say you can publish it. And you have this new style. And here you can actually copy the URL of your style. Copy. And you can just paste it here. And it immediately updates accordingly. So that's kind of very useful. But if you are not using terrain, it's also not using the image. So just bear that in mind, depending on what you want to do. But normally, I feel like I normally don't use the terrain, and we can actually change this material of the road and everything in later stage, and you can also add a lot of interesting features there. Okay, so that was about image and style and terrain. Yeah, so terrain, can just turn it off. I'm just checking my note. Okay, and next is map layers. Streets with streets with buildings or data source. So the data source is also coming from the Mapbox. Documentation. So let's Google Mapbox. Yeah, and this in this documentation, you can actually access a lot of different features of things. Okay, let's look at this later. But yeah, there are different kinds of data sources, and you can try to see if they are providing you some slightly different data. But we can use this one for now. Street. So you can see that they are slightly different what they're providing. It's because of the source of the data. Yeah.
Is it just the geometry and textures, or is there anything else in that information?
Um, it, I think everything about the map data. So they have different sources.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can see that the differences are sometimes just about textures, but sometimes also maybe some height and the buildings are a little bit different. So for example, this one is pretty obvious that this,
Okay.
yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, so maybe some data source is about a few years ago or
Oh
something
yeah,
like that.
so time,
Yeah,
yeah. So some might be older, some might be newer.
yeah, yeah. So this, we will need to check the resources from the documentation. But yeah, for now, I think we can kind of understand that these are about data sources. Okay. Uh, lost one. Yeah, and it's, you can also find the amount of data sources from the studio, Mapbox Studio.
And would that map box also take into consideration occlusion? Like say if I put something behind a house, then this will be occluded until I go around the house. Is that also treated by a map box or like within Unity?
Uh, the material, yes, it's normal material. Yes, it's going to be rendered as normal material, and I'll show you also how to apply your custom materials to these items.
Yeah, no, I mean like if I put an object like around a corner of a house, like or partly at a corner of a house, so then
Or
part
is it
of
going
this
to be
object will
covered,
be
masked?
yeah will be occluded.
Um, well, in reality, none of the geometries will be hidden behind a real object. So in reality, all these buildings will be turned off. Yeah, because because today we are talking about the AR application. So like the hyper reality video, we are all the buildings are actually real buildings, not rendered buildings. These are rendered buildings. So we are going to turn it off. Okay.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I will talk about that in a bit. Next.
Sorry, can I ask a quick
Yeah.
question? So to find allocation,
Yeah.
in general,
Yeah.
in the general tab, you can search for the location or put the latitude and longitude. And you said, so I just tried to give it a go with Melbourne because,
Yeah.
you know, Melbourne.
Yeah.
And just the map doesn't look like Melbourne at all. So I don't know if maybe like Australia hasn't been mapped yet very well, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Did
can
you
you
test map, like
also,
how accurate is Mapbox, for example, in LA? Or
I think it's pretty good. It really depending on the data source. I think you can check in the Mapbox Studio first.
okay.
Yeah, so go to the studio and see if your map is actually there. I'm sure it's pretty good data. So go there and then check if you can find your own location. Melbourne. Yeah. I'm sure you want to find somewhere more specific. Yeah. But you can kind of find it from here first. Okay. All right. I'm going to go to the next tab. So I'm changing things during the play, but all the things when you change it during play, it's not going to be saved. I'm doing it just for display purpose, but this thing didn't change as well. Image also didn't change. So if you want to change it, make sure you close your play. Don't play the game when you want to change your parameters. Okay. But I'm still going to change it because I'm going to play because I want to preview things. So in the map layer, we are going to use Mapbox streets as data source, and there are these point of interest and features that we can actually play with. We are going to add a layer in this point of interest. And when you click, you can add a lot of different layers. And this new layer, we are going to add some we are going to add a specific layer that is provided, category provided by Mapbox. So from these are the provided categories, like food, nightlife, like hotel, shops. I can say none first and then maybe say food for the first one. And then you can add a prefab game object to display. And I can just, to make it easier to see, I can rename it to food. And I'm going to use a prefab that is provided from an example file. So I'm going to go to the example, demos, not MRTK, Mapbox examples, POI placement, and resources. Yeah, and we are going to use these icon prefabs. So by being here, we go back to the city simulator map, and I'm going to drag this food icon to my prefab. Food icon, this is image, this is not a prefab. This prefab is made it into prefab, created these icons into prefab. So we have to use the prefab instead of that image. So Mapbox by category. So these two you can turn off for now. It's possible that there's no really food, or I'm going to do this again. So basically it should show all the food restaurant locations of this map. So I close this map. I'm going to do this again. Add a layer. Use this food POI prefab, point of interest. Mapbox by category, non-food. Okay, and then name this one food. And play. I hope the icons are showing up. Okay. So now the icons are showing up. You can also change the density if you think they're all too dense. You can also show just some important ones or more, and so on. If the icons are too big, you can go to the food prefab and just change the scale of it. Canvas. So we can just scale this one to 1 by 1. Maybe. Let's close the game first, and then this is canvas. Text. It's frozen. Sorry. Okay. Why is this frozen? Okay, unfroze. So let's make this one smaller. I don't think this is helpful. Okay, I will just scale this one half size. And this one also kind of half size. Something like that. You can, of course, you can change them a lot more smaller. And then you can go back. Actually, I should have copied that prefab and then modified it. Okay, now they are getting smaller. Yeah, and you can also move them up. You can also, I will show you how to make custom application, custom POI prefab as well. So, okay. All right, let's make a custom POI prefab just in case. So in the models, you can just create. So I'm just being here so we don't go overly large. And then I'm going to rotate like 45 degree. 2 meters or 3 meters high. And we can add a more visible material. Something like quite visible. Then place it there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an empty game object and reset. So make sure this is all zeroed out and make this one under this thing. So it's much more handier or more safer if your parent object is 0, 0, 0 is empty. And say sh prefab 1 and drag this here. And I'm going to make another one. Or I'm going to just unpack this one, say prefab 2. I copy this and say blue. I'm going to make 2 prefabs. I'm going to make another prefab, apply it to this one, and make this one into prefab. Okay, delete it. So I have 2 prefabs. Although I feel like they are a little bit too big, so we can scale the cube instead of the parent. Yeah. So go to, how much did I scale? Okay. Now once you are done, we are going to go back to our city simulator map. And we are going to, instead of the food prefab, we are going to use, let's actually use the food prefab there so we see the difference. And then add another layer of arts and entertainment. And use our pink prefab. And add another layer just to show the difference. Nightlife and prefab 2. Okay, let's play. Okay, I see some pink points there, here and there. Okay, they were actually a little too small. So you can actually scale them accordingly and move it higher and stuff. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to just make sure that this is high enough. 5 or 7. And 2, 2, 2. Okay, this could have been even higher, isn't it? Yeah, so I see also some blue points there. So that's how you can actually display some of the interest points. I feel like they should be much more higher. So I'm going to make them like 15. Okay, after this I'll move on. So, okay, and then it going back to our city simulator. There are also this interesting thing about not only about by category but also about POI names, which is like if you can search for name of Starbucks, for example. If you have Starbucks, then you can it actually automatically shows that thing. So you can add a layer, and let's go to our position and see if there is anything that we can use. So I'm going to go to my downtown LA location. I think I'm using downtown. So I want to find something I can find from this area. So, okay, I think this is downtown. I don't know. Yeah, it looks like. So I see some features like that. So I'm going to zoom in here. Okay, it says natural selection. Funculo or evoke yoga. Okay. G7. Okay, maybe I will try evoke yoga. Let's see. So I need to use this exact spelling. So in the point of interest, so let me just check my notes. I think that is it. Okay, there are more things in the features, but let's try this first. POI by name. And the name is Evoke Yoga. Evoke. I'm going to just say Evoke, so I can search the name. And then I'm going to say yoga. And then I'm going to use so I'm going to turn off the night so we don't get confused. So whatever blue is showing, it should be Evoke Yoga. I made a mistake. I was playing the video, playing the game. So I'm going to say Evoke Yoga and use the second prefab, POI name, Evoke. Okay. Let's see if we can see the blue. So the blue thing should show up somewhere here. Didn't show. Something more famous. Okay, I'm gonna okay. Okay, I will I will come back to this one because I am a little confused that we need to add the POI in the feature instead of in the point of interest. This is a little confusing because it's very similar. But let's say for here we at least covered all the categories, yeah, in the point of interest. And let's move on to the features. In the features, we have these buildings and road as default. So as you can see, the road, and the buildings, you can turn off the buildings, turn off the road. And you can also, normally in reality, we don't need the road, yeah. And with road, you can actually change a lot of different things, and also the material. So we can also change the width, for example, to be thicker or thinner. And you can change this to custom, for example. And you can change this to different things, for example, but let's just talk about the no polygon for road, lines, okay. And then texturing. So this texturing is like there are some default textures, but actually you can use custom texture and add your material here. So you can, for example, you can add a top material to be blue, side material to be red, for example. And so on and so forth for everything. So you can also add a feature, and you can say like land use, for example, and you can change this from custom, or you can just change these settings from here. You can add another feature, custom feature here, and this can be, oh yeah, here is where you can add a point of interest, custom point of interest. So here you have a lot of different things that you can use, and we should use POI label to find your things. So I'm going to just turn off this food. It's a little annoying, so I turned it off. And this is going to be my point of interest that evoke yoga, if the data source can find it. And in this feature, you need to add the new empty feature, and key is to find from name, and the value is evoke. Let's put yoga as well, but contains, it's called contains. So to be more safe, maybe I'll just put yoga. So anything that has yoga in it, you can show. And we should add a prefab here. So in behavior modeler, we should add a new prefab modifier. And in this prefab modifier, we should add the prefab that we want. It's a little unintuitive, but still works. So we lost it, so we can go back to that again. So we have this prefab. Let's say blue prefab. We are going to put the blue prefab. Okay. We have to go back to this and find it again. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Model and blue prefab. Okay. Okay. I feel like I need to restart it. So I lost everything, but the prefab remained. Okay, that's great. So in feature, let's add the feature, custom feature, using POI label. Add a prefab modifier. We should use the previous one. Oops. We should use the previous one because it has the prefab in it. And add a feature using name contains yoga. Okay. I want to use this one. I might want to use more obvious. Resources, maybe outdoor, whatever. This one is huge, so we can tell. And then I'm going to turn off the food and art for now. Art, yes. Let's play. Didn't show. Behavior. House center, yes. Yes. It's also possible that it didn't have the yoga thing. I know we tested with this umami burger before in this location, so I'm going to test it with that. Oh, it's here. Okay. Umami burger. Nice. So umami burger was there, but why not the evoke yoga? Let me try this again. Yoga. Okay, I think, oh, there is one here. It's solo yoga. Okay, Soho yoga. All right, that's great. So it actually works, but somehow the evoke yoga was not registered. So maybe I was using wrong data source. So let me try the data source. Streets. Okay, still the Soho yoga is there, but not the evoke yoga. Okay, but we know that it's actually working, but we need to check which data source is pointing to the ones that we are seeing in the studio, which I will figure that out and explain you by tomorrow when we meet. Okay, so that was pretty much it. And normally what we can actually do is we can try to talk about how to improve the sceneries and graphics of these tomorrow further, and maybe how to maybe import external animated objects and improve some graphics of it and stuff. And normally then once you have that, this is actually deployable to your phone, and all your interfaces are actually physically geolocated in the fixed locations. And when you are walking around, you can actually interact with different buttons and data. And maybe I can just show you one quick example from one of our students using this exact method to develop interesting urban app to kind of discuss or see the potential of our ways to interact with cities in the future. So, can you hear the sound? Okay.
The site is located in a small empty square in the heart of the art district. There are many apartments, restaurants, bars and other facilities in the surrounding area. Every evening and night, lots of surrounding citizens pass through this area. Under such congenital conditions, I hope to combine this area with the virtual scene so that people can have a colorful interactive experience with this area, and at the same time this platform will facilitate the daily life of surrounding residents and students. We know that the public trading platform for communities can break the condition of information asymmetry to promote transactions between buyers and sellers. We set up a virtual trading platform in a public city space to facilitate the communication and transaction, which can
yes, that's not really important, but
welcome to Digital Bazaar. Here is the
so
Digital
this
Bazaar
student made a
stuffs for Third
digital
Street community.
bazaar.
You can walk around of products and your
Just when you
contact
go
information.
closer, you can actually click
At
to
the start area, you can get basic
tweet
guidance
some
and some
information,
of
and you
commodities on
can
sale.
interact with some characters. And he's kind of
At the
showing
information
how
center, you can interact with the sellers and get more information about their stuff
how
on
some
site. If you are
information
interested in their
are
stuff, you
triggered
can
by
write down
getting
their contact
closer to
information and
something
discuss more
for some
details after
people.
getting home.
So you're actually having some chat. So, for example, this one is that when you get closer physically, and the information pops up.
At this digital bazaar, you can just go around and see different virtual second-hand stuffs at different corners of the street. Enjoy shopping and pick up your need and favorite.
And you can also hear some different music or different noise according to the proximity of you getting closer to certain object. Yeah, something like that. So these are all kind of basically done with the method that we introduced over these 2 days. Yeah, and we can kind of talk about more how this can be further improved with more features. But I think today and yesterday we kind of covered all the basic essential skills and technical concepts of what is used, what kind of technique is used. And then tomorrow we will add further features like adding sound, proximity based interactions, and further like animating some of the features, some of the prefabs, and so on. And do you have any question?
I have some question. For example, like the example of the videos, they make a commercial advertisement. Like if we want to use this, like a Mapbox, we need to hide the buildings or something else to.
So the Mapbox information is everything apart from the building models. So we leave all the.
If there is some new building, they didn't upload to the map. I want to use this new building to make some AR environment. Can I add a random model to that map?
Yeah, you can put as a custom POI. Yeah, and you can find that actual geolocation, and then just position the Rhino file there.
And
export
then
as FBX.
And
just put the model separately if it's just one building.
Okay. And then after I match the building, and then I hide the model, it will show in the real world in AR mode.
Yeah, I mean, only thing you use Mapbox for is to get some geolocation information. It's not, this is not going to help you to position your application on real location. I told you you need to scale it and position it properly.
I just afraid somewhere maybe just like the Google Maps, they don't in China somewhere they don't have the data of the city. So if I want to use a street or somewhere, I need to build the street by myself and then match the.
I think you can, you will get as much information as Google Map here in Mapbox, I guess, in China. Yeah, but if you need more information, you need to build them and use them as a prefab to kind of associate them with geolocation.
Okay, I will try. And then another question is about the build to the mobile phone. A friend told me that when they use Android cell phone, is not stable. When they move the camera, their atom will also move sometimes. But iOS is more stable. You know, it's a normal question, or just because the Android cell phone is have some problem.
I don't think it's Android or iPhone problem. It's device by device.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, the team students use the Android. They have this problem.
Android is fine as well, but yeah, I mean, it's actually, to be honest, also true that they said, the developer said the AI kit is a bit more accurate. Yeah. And then, but yeah, like Sue said, it's more about the device by device.
Yeah,
okay.
But yeah, it's true that AI Foundation itself was developed more from Mac side. But because most of us are using Windows system, that's why it's easier to develop Android phone device.
Okay. Maybe this just the device.
Yeah, but I don't think the differences of accuracy is that radical. Just for academic purpose, was kind of okay. You know, like I never had too much problem, students having problem with Android versus iPhone.
So just one more question in terms of getting the right location in Unity. So since the latitude longitude is not really valid, so how can I really find like a street or a number in a street? How would that work?
I would first search for the city and location. Yeah, and then like mostly I was trying to change the parameters little by little to find the right location that I want.
Okay, because here it only gives me kind of cities, but maybe I can look.
You can look for like some district.
Ah, okay. So majorly for point of interest you can look, right? It's like, I think it's like the most accurate, or like, I don't know. Okay, yeah, for zip codes. Okay.
Yeah, and
all right. Okay. Well, if that's the way, then yeah, I'll check it out. Cool. Thank you.
No problem.
One quick question. Are we going to have a look at web AR as well tomorrow?
Yes, but that will be a very short kind of overview. It's not really a tutorial, but there are a few websites that we can use. Like it's kind of free or paid, but they have similar features. Han, do you want to add something?
Yeah, I'm going to introduce a bit because like since the script itself is a bit different because they are using the JavaScript to do the AR, web AR. So yeah.
But basically, what we are going to do is we are going to introduce 2 to 3 different websites, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
To show that there are different kind of accessible, available websites that allowing you to use
Right.
their features. Yeah.
Right.
But it's outside of Unity.
Yeah, outside.
Yes.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
cannot do
Is
it
it-
from
is-
Unity.
Okay. Is it A-frame? The framework
Which-
you're going.
No, it's not a framework. It's a website.
It's
Ah,
just
okay.
Oh,
yeah, bit of A-frame, yeah, but yeah, more like
Ah, okay.
JavaScript, and then yeah, we're going to just more like to introduce about rather than the system behind of the web-based layout, just we're going to introduce how you can quickly make a simple web-based layout, not touching the any script something like that.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Any more questions?
Good.
Is it okay today? Yeah. Great.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Yeah, and if you have any question, feedback, comments, please let us know anytime. And I will see you then tomorrow, same time. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for
Okay,
joining
thank
today.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Have a good day. Thank
See you
you.
tomorrow.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you. Bye.